Fury, we gotta be very careful now.
I might be the only minority here, but I do have hopes and interest for Secret Invasion before it came out. Being a grounded spy thriller involving shapeshifters. And I was completely let down by it. Even not counting that, there is still a lot of issues on its own. Motherfucker. Gravik reminds me a lot about Adam Torres from RWBY. A guy who started off interesting and cool, who would do anything to help their species, who even scarred the heroes heavily when they finally meet again, just to become very inconsistent about their values as the show goes on. Even killing his own people who they are supposed to be fighting for. Reduced to only obsessed with one thing. When they finally got their reasons behind reveal, just to kill off after one fight. Leaving no more room to explore that. Never remind me of RWBY. But despite my bitterness to this show, the writing is not what I want to talk about. I will link the EFA episode of this in the description. What I want to talk about is the decisions behind the scenes that leads to this show. Starting off with something I have said before. Despite I believe the fifth phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is gonna be awful, there are still a few things I have hoped they won't be bad. James Gunn back for the third Guardians movie. I mean, obviously. The writer of Mr. Robot. Showrunning Secret Invasion. If only that was the case. Cause you see, after Kyle Bradstreet was announced as showrunner of Secret Invasion, who wrote and produced the legendary Mr. Robot, please go watch that show. Interesting things happen behind the scenes.
Daddy, when are we filming, Daddy? Come on, Daddy. Come on, Mama. Let's do it, Daddy. Let's do it. Let's film, Daddy.
No, sorry, I don't mean it like that. What I mean is something like the showrunner didn't appear during the premiere. Doesn't have a single interview with him. Instead, it's by the director, who doesn't have much of a hand on the script, which is already weird on itself. And it gets worse.
When I took on this job as director, I didn't write the script, so a lot of those decisions were made by Kyle Bradstreet and the other team of writers that we had.
Are you really sure it's Kyle? Let's continue. Apparently there's a 4 months reshoot, which still hasn't finished even after the end of September last year. Holy fuck. That's enough time to shoot a completely different show. But it would still be fine if the showrunner is on board. Unfortunately, they hire a new writer for the reshoots. And that new writer is Brian Tucker, who at least has a hand on every episode. Don't worry, I will tell you how I know later. And that fucker only wrote a movie in 2013, which could be fine if he's working alongside the showrunner. He wrote and produced Mr. Robot after all. And that wasn't the case. Audience, I want you to know something. Something you might want to pay attention to future movies and shows. This is how the credits look in the show. That seems fine, right? And no, this is where the source of damage came from. See, the credit used the word "and", not the symbol "and". You see, the word "and" means the writers are writing it separately, unlike the symbol "and", meaning they are a writing team. So they got a new writer to write the reshoots, and the process did not involve the showrunner. It's all Brian Tucker. And episode 2 and 4 are completely made up by him, burning the scripts of the original writers, along with most of the plans by the Mr. Robot showrunner. This alone makes me depressed. But why did they do that? Christopher McDonald said it's because to amp it up. But what specifically? What he said could mean anything. Well, the final battle is apparently Kevin Feige's idea to have all superpowers. Nothing about the writers. They have to shift the story to have this fight. This embarrassing clusterfuck of a fight. The entire show got rewritten for this. So amp it up means to add more action scenes. Not just this final battle. Also to add more fight scenes in the show. And completely rewrite Emilia Clarke's character that I will discuss a bit more later. Something Mr. Robot barely has. Despite the show is also about infiltration. That's just sad they don't trust us to enjoy unless there are action scenes. Christopher McDonald also said there are reshoots to make the series go deeper. The actor is only in a few scenes of the show. And the scenes he is in contradict Gravik and the world building, because this writer can't write for shit. Thank you Kevin and Brian Tucker for destroying the show. Same as the director, which I just want you to just stop talking. He also cuts out a lot of scenes, and forces ones like the Farah ending. This conflict that is invented out of nowhere, with a character that only exists in this show, leading me to believe this character only exists in the reshoots, because the director wants it. Especially she has no plot relevance whatsoever. It's just so depressing. Adding the fact there are actually some good ideas planned by Kyle, as Kevin has also killed some ideas. Ideas that could have been good.
In a story featuring characters that can appear to be anybody, do Marvel or Kevin Feige kind of outline who can and can't appear as Skrulls?
I guess that's a question for Kevin Feige, but it was, all ideas were on the table, all ideas were good. Some ideas were less good, and some ideas were killed because Kevin has a plan going down the road, and I'm not sure what that plan is. So, yeah, we had free reign until it didn't make sense for story.
You clearly don't have free reign because Feige forced a lot of shit in here. And how do you expect them to do if you don't tell them what's gonna happen next? Should have noticed all those reports beforehand.
It's funny how warning signs can feel like they're butterflies.
Thanks to a leak, we know Emilia Clarke is supposed to play Abigail Brand, the mutant leader of SWORD in the comics that also has firepower, which is the exact same thing Extremis gave her in the show. The plans has been changed because Kevin Feige wants that fanfic battle, leads to a rewrite of this character and completely sideline her. Little impact to the story until the final episode. It's just sad. Thanks to the 4 power set showcase, we know that Gravik is supposed to be Clarke in the comics, as the power set they show matches him. Not just a stupid Skrull who just want Avengers blood bullshit. So his character also got rewritten. They have to rewrite the story to fit this after all. Even though Abigail Brand vs Clarke fight makes way more sense in context. Along with Farah not existing as we mentioned earlier, and a show with less action. Yes, Maria might have planned to die in the show, but I honestly believe they have more to plan for Maria, instead of just dying for shock value. Of course, Cobie could have lied about this. The issue is Cobie never said which episode she's gonna die. Not to mention, I don't believe a second they don't have more thoughts for this character who's been with us for quite a while. There's also things like Carmen Ejogo got cast in Secret Invasion, and her character actually got a description before the show released, but her character got entirely cut. Barrett Dondarrion got cast in the show, and such a popular actor from Game of Thrones announced like what? A month before the show?
Really?
The scenes related to Agent Prescott has to be a reshoot. You're not convincing me otherwise. With this character dying in the first scene. No reason to hide this unless reshoots. Also Ross in the matter of fact. They have to have a different plan for him. If Barrick's scenes are reshoots, and Ross is announced to return a long time ago. Not even Martin Freeman believes he's playing a Skrull the entire time. He's announced before the reshoots, and Sam Jackson is actually interested to work with him. But they never share a scene together. There has to be a lot of change for Ross. And Rhodey might not even be a Skrull the entire time, because Ross's plan is changed entirely. Damage control is actually in the trailer. Those fuckers who use non-lethal rounds, and they are nowhere to be seen. Thrown away for the reshoots. There's also a director who left the project after meeting Samuel L. Jackson. Like, what happened? Maybe he realized the production is in hell. Or Sam Jackson realized something is not right and tell him to leave. No way to tell right now. Still, I need more information behind the scenes for me to understand the full picture. like after they released the making of Secret Invasion. But it's already clear tons of things has already been changed during reshoots, while sidelining the showrunner. No wonder the budget is $212 million.
And I'll end it on this. Which episode are you both most excited for everybody to see in Secret Invasion?
I genuinely can't remember now, because watching those last two yesterday, I was going, what? I forgot, what? So I now can't remember. I think the last one.
I still gotta say the last one. Yeah, I mean the last one because that's when everything comes together and everything starts to make sense. But it was so bizarre though when we did it because we did so many different things and then all of a sudden when it was time to do the last day, it's like she and I were together, but some other characters weren't there because they were doing something else. So there were other people who were being and we were like,
so
what are we
that's
doing?
why it's so hard to answer
What
it.
are we doing? And then when you see it, it's kind of like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's all stitched together and it's amazing.
Not even the actors are sure what scenes they are in. This is the few times I don't blame the showrunner for how the show turned out. It's Feige decided to switch gears and hire a shitty writer during reshoots, with Kyle Bradstreet nowhere to be found. Unlike the shitty nature of Moon Knight and She-Hulk showrunner, for example. One misunderstood and despised the source material, and the other has a universe-sized ego. So blame the people who is actually responsible for Secret Invasion's disaster. I'm so disappointed. This show could have been good, but you just have to screw yourself over. I'm kinda worried right now, cause I also said this. And last but not least, the writer of Daredevil writing, and the writer of Better Call Saul show running, Echo. There's always the chance they are gonna get screwed over. All I can do is to hope for the best. At least the strike will stop the show from getting hijacked. Anyways, back to Hawkeye. Hope I can release this next month.